Noonan Sports Specialist, and this week's tip of the week is going to be on environment and how it relates to nutrition. A few weeks ago we had our leading training and fitness conference over at the Technical College, which by the way I would recommend you go to. We have it annually. Go check it out, it's awesome. One of the speakers, Dr. Mark Blagan, was talking a lot about environment and how it affects our nutrition and what we eat. And there was a lot of really practical take-home points. So a couple of things I want to talk about today in relation to environment would be just some simple practical steps you can use to affect the environment you're in to change your nutritional habits according to that. The first one would be the visual. Is it something you can see? When we're talking about food, if it's out on the counter, if it's visible, if it's something you can see, the likelihood of eating it goes up dramatically. So if you have stuff at home, snacks, treats, different things like that, that you don't want to be digging into, put them in a cupboard, have a family member hide them somewhere, or just stick them out of sight. That's a huge cue, and there's a lot of times where we don't even realize we're doing it simply because we've seen it. So visual is the first one. The second one would be proximity. How close is it to you? You know, if you're sitting down eating dinner, and there's some other food source within 10 feet of you, or the kitchen's within 10 feet of you or something like that, you're much more likely to get up and get seconds, whereas if you can keep that further out, the likelihood of actually eating it goes way down. So it's the same thing with snacks at work, anything like that. If you know there's those things, try to keep yourself at a certain distance. That can be a valuable point as well. And the third would be barriers, putting barriers between you and food. If it's something that's in the deep freeze in the basement, if you've got ice cream, if you can stick it in the deep freeze in the basement versus the freezer upstairs right in the kitchen where it's easier to have access to it, or if you've got those treats at work, maybe stick them way back in the desk drawer. Again, you're also addressing the visual there, but putting a barrier between you and the food. Even something as simple as if you've got something that's in a package, make sure it's completely sealed up and maybe even taped shut or something like that. Those little simple things, even though it doesn't seem like much, they will actually have an impact on what you're doing with your nutrition. Another one that could be considered a barrier, it's not necessarily a barrier, but using smaller plates, using smaller utensils and things like that, all that will have a huge impact on how much you're actually eating. So if you're trying to control what you're taking in and kind of keep yourself on a path that's going to lead you to a little bit more fat loss, a couple of those simple things are really easy to implement. They don't take a lot of dedication to stick to, and it will affect your nutrition. So let us know what you think if you try any of these out, and hope they're successful for you. Thanks for watching.